Hey, welcome into this Monday, the 20th day of October. I'm Michael Sullivan, joining you here from Studio A at Texas Scorecard World Headquarters, and I am mostly unsupervised, at least on camera. Got other folks who do things to try to keep me, but right now, they're not going to jump into the frame. So just you and me get to chat. Brandon Walton's out of the office today. I was thinking about making a joke that Brandon's in jail, something like that, and decided that when he finds out, he'll be mad. So I'm not going to do that because Brandon would hurt me. But no, so it's great to be sitting down with you today. We are on day 20 of the federal shutdown. If you did not know the federal government was shut down, that's kind of the point, probably. Day 20 of the federal shutdown. Been watching here over the past 2 days, and I expect we're going to see more of this changing. The Democrats, this entire shutdown is being driven by the Democrats, and they are getting increasingly desperate. And in their desperation, we see the Democrats doing something they tend to not do, which is to be honest. They started off with the shutdown talking about how they needed, they were standing up for the undocumented migrant, that's the illegal alien, the undocumented migrant, the illegal alien, who needed health care. We need to provide services for the undocumented migrant, illegal alien. And that's why they were willing to shut down the government. They were willing to shut down all aspects of the federal government for the purpose of making sure illegal aliens were getting care. They thought that Americans would rally to the defense of these illegal aliens. As it turns out, none of us really care. The Trump administration has managed to shifting money around because of legislation passed a while back. The Trump administration able to shift monies around, so the military is being paid, the Coast Guard's being paid. Certainly, there are some really good folks doing really good things in necessary parts of government who are not being paid. But that's because the Democrats want the government shut down. They want the government shut down. Their initial reason was to help illegal aliens. But now they're having to become more honest. They're having to reveal more and more of why they really want the government shut down. They want the government shut down because they want the money that has been flowing into subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. So the Unaffordable Care Act is what the Democrats have been wanting to actually make sure money keeps going into unchecked, unregulated, unnoticed, billions and billions and billions of dollars flooding in to subsidize healthcare costs because Obamacare, that's what we all call the Affordable Care Act. Obamacare did not make healthcare more affordable. In fact, because of Obamacare, healthcare is more expensive now than it's ever been. And that's not just me saying that. You've got people on the left, on the right, the Washington Post and the Heritage Foundation and Cato, all these kind of groups and organizations with very smart people looking at the impacts of public policy. Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, is what's made healthcare more expensive than ever. The only way that it looks like for some people that it's not as expensive as it could be is because of all these subsidies that have been buried deep inside federal spending. So these subsidies flowing out have been kind of a buffer so that we would not see just how unaffordable and expensive healthcare has been made. So the federal government shutdown is because the Democrats want to make sure you don't see just how expensive healthcare was made under Obamacare. You don't see how expensive healthcare is because of the so-called Affordable Care Act. If something requires government subsidies, it's not affordable. If something requires government subsidies for us not to feel the pain of it, that means it's not affordable. So over the next few days, you're going to see more and more of this honesty coming from the Democrats. And look, I understand there are, again, a number of good people who have not been paid. Border Patrol agents, ICE agents did not get their paychecks last week because of the Democrat shutdown. But hopefully, as the Democrats become more honest, as more and more Americans recognize that there's so much the federal government's doing that we don't need, and that in fact so much of what they're doing is actually hurting us, that maybe these minor inconveniences will be a good thing. So I'm anticipating over this next week seeing more desperation out of the Democrats. Hopefully the Trump administration is going to take advantage of that. Hopefully all of us, as we look at and talk about the federal government shutdown, and more importantly, the policies driving it, we will take advantage of the Democrats' honesty, the rare glimpse of honesty about what they want, which is to deceive you. Hopefully that's what will come out of this government shutdown. Let's talk a little bit about the things that are coming up at Texas Scorecard, the things that we're going to be covering this week. First, coming up later today, tomorrow, sometime this week, Adam Kahn is taking a deep dive into the American Association of University Professors. That's a union that exists for university professors. I want you to think about that. A union for college professors, as if these guys who already have tenure so they can go out and talk about doing horrible things to children, and all the rabble rousing they do, calling for the overthrow of the government, all these kind of things that these college professors are doing. They also need they also have a union, all right? So this union is sitting there as kind of a little social club for them. Well, Adam Kahn, looking at the union organizer, at least one of the union members, the AAUP members at Texas A&M, and some of the stuff this guy's been up to. You'll be wanting to check that out when it comes out later this week. Also this week, we've got Travis Morgan looking at legislation that passed in Texas dealing with app stores, on your iPhone, on your Android phone. You can go into the little app store, and that's where you buy your apps, buy the little programs you can run, games, whatever else. Legislation beginning to regulate some of that. We've seen a whole lot of interesting issues coming around that. The tech industry is now suing Texas over that legislation. Meanwhile, you've gotten the age verification stuff going on, dealing with online pornography from these app stores. So some interesting issues coming into play there that Travis Morgan, who covers the judiciary for Texas Scorecard, Travis Morgan's going to have that piece coming out this week. Paige Field is looking at aquifer water storage in Central Texas. And look, I know you're going, and suddenly eyes glaze over, you think, okay, I'll go listen to something else. Aquifer water storage. There's an old joke in Texas that whiskey is for drinking and water is for fighting over. It is probably more true today than that has ever been, because as we have now, we're approaching on 31 million people in Texas. How we store water is becoming more and more important, and indeed it's becoming more and more important in terms of the kind of fights you're going to see both regionally between the different regions of Texas, and then politically in the Texas legislature, as folks fight over holding on to their scarce water resources. So that article from Paige Field coming out later this week. This week we have a great documentary coming out. I believe it's, no, I guess it's next week. 2 weeks, we have a great documentary coming out called Kicking the Circle. And that's where our CEO, Daniel Greer, is taking a look at local government corruption. And look, I'm not going to spoil the story for it. It's a fascinating story, and one you're going to watch. It's going to fall into kind of one of our more short form video documentaries, about 20-25 minutes long. It's a fantastic piece. I've gotten to see, they finally let me see a pre-edit version, and it was really good. Really enjoyed that initial version. Allegedly, the studio guys are right now back in the wall behind me here, working on that. I don't actually believe that to be true. I'm sure they're making fun of me right now. But they're going to come out on October 28th, Kicking the Circle with Daniel Greer. Lastly, one of our new shows for 2025 has been Real Texans, where we talk to folks of all sorts of different backgrounds, some office holders, talk to folks who run ministries. We've got actors, musicians, all sorts of interesting folks who've been talking to that. We've also been talking to some of the folks seeking office. We have now interviewed 3 of the 4 attorney general candidates. And this coming Sunday on Real Texans, I want to be sitting down with Chip Roy, a member of Congress who is running to be the 52nd Attorney General of Texas. Already chatted with the other candidates in that race, so I hope you will check out that interview with Chip Roy on Sunday on Real Texans. That's going to be kind of it for now. Hope you're doing well. Leave a comment for us. Look, if you're still watching at this point, Brandon would love it if you give him a little love. He's off doing whatever it is he's doing. I don't know. Maybe he's in jail. Maybe he's on vacation. I don't know what he's doing. Probably having lunch somewhere right now. Drop a little comment into the there for Brandon. Let him know you miss him and just how much you like Brandon Walton. So that will make Brandon so happy. I will see you next Monday, or I will see you early tomorrow morning on the Texas Minute. Go make it a great day.